Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and this is your end of day recap for Wednesday, July 19th. And another interesting day in the market on our hands. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purpose only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. So when we look at the indices for the day, it looked like the small caps, they did outperform for the day. The micro caps finished up 0.5%. Small caps finished up close to that as well. The Qs had a little bit of a reversal. They finished flat, and the Dow also finished up on the day. I will go through some themes that I think stood out. First things first, we'll go over the earnings. Now we are starting to see some of the bigger names report earnings. Specifically today, you've got Tesla and Netflix reporting after the close, and not much going on here. Despite I think Tesla was looking for about a 7% move. Let me see if I can get you the particulars with this. Yeah, here you go. Tesla was not a great earnings history. I did not trade Tesla for earnings. If I had, I would have, of course, this is hindsight 2020, but I would have done something like an iron condor. I do, or I used to do those trades quite frequently. Just decided to kind of just watch to see what Tesla does. But they were down 6 of the last 10 quarters, just looking at basically, what the price performance is. Forget about the numbers and earnings and sales and all that, but just looking at the price reaction has been down 6 out of the last 10 quarters. Not the best to kind of play there to the long side, given those recent performance figures. Also, Netflix, same thing. Down 6 of the last 10 quarters, just to kind of give you a sense. And they were looking at for an 8.8% move, and it kind of looks like the option sellers won out here, because I don't see a very big move here for Tesla. I was actually hoping that Tesla would sell off a little bit, maybe down to 276, and then that might set up as a buying opportunity, but not so much. And it is kind of tough, and you see this in a lot of charts at this point, right? We had some consolidation in the beginning of the month or a couple of weeks ago, and then you see a breakout, and it's the case now of what to do with some of these trades. If you're in some of them, you want to be kind of, in my opinion, riding the trend, for names that don't have earnings, and then waiting for some other signal. But I think we've got a lot of this going on right now, where you've got this digestion and then a break higher. So another thing that I look at a lot of my charts is these virgin point of controls, those red lines. Sometimes I say this until I'm blue in the face, but sometimes they are an area of digestion. However, there's been a few cases where price has really been able to kind of get through those virgin point of controls. But yes, at this point, I would like a little bit of consolidation. I did sell my Tesla swing trade. I think it was 2 days ago. I think right at 291, or maybe I hit 293 on the last target. Actually, yesterday I think I took that off. But ultimately, as I've said in many videos, I'm looking for Tesla kind of to continue with its trend up to 320. However, it doesn't have to get there in a straight line, but that's my price target for the year. Netflix, I see down a bit after hours. Another name that was very quiet up until about 2 days ago, and then really got going. Almost took out that virgin point of control to the upside, and you can see this is getting hit a little bit after hours. Well, a couple of the questions why I didn't want to play this name was because maybe we'll hear more about like the writers' strike and actors' strike. I'm not an expert on this stuff, so I won't talk too much about it, but maybe they will say something about how that's affecting some of their original programming. So let's go back to the indices just for a second. Again, I'll talk about these really quickly, but again, a lot of upside targets have been achieved from what we've seen, and it's the case at this point where I didn't do a lot of trading today, just because I think that we are overbought in the short term, and I am looking for a rotation. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in this video, but there's another S&P target that's taken out here. So upside VPOC, taken out, and another thing, when I write my morning note, as I've been talking about how we've been getting more overbought, price has not moved below the 5-period moving average, so we're continuing to trend here, and you know, even though today had some reversals and some momentum names today, but we have not lost, you know, there's no official, like, you know, confirmation that we're starting to move lower, because price is still above the 5-period moving average. But you know, I will talk about this for a minute here in this video, but the averages are getting short-term over, or are short-term overbought. And, you know, that doesn't mean it's the end of the world. So for example, the RSI right now in S&P futures is a 75, right? So I'm looking at the bottom study. The last time that this got overbought was in the middle of June, right? Price, it was the same thing, above its, you know, above its short-term moving average, you know, and then it kind of settled in for about a week and a half, burned off those overbought levels and continue to march higher. So at this point, that's what I'm looking for, more or less, is for you know, price to kind of come in a little bit, to shake out. There's a lot of bullish sentiment that I see. Like if you open up Twitter, right, there's just, I see a lot of victory laps personally. I don't see a lot of bears on Twitter anymore, again, which is fine. I'm just noticing, you know, noting the, you know, the sentiment, and a lot of confidence, I think, too. Now, here's the Qs. They are also overbought. The RSI is at 76. Now, this managed to get through this version point of control, and you know, no major setback here. So a little bit of a reversal for the day, but I mean, we're extended here. We're extended. The RSI is telling you that. Price decently above its 5-day moving average also as well. Again, doesn't mean that, you know, the price can't continue to go higher here and get further overbought. But again, you know, doing the same exercise, you know, it was a worthwhile endeavor, you know, to take some profits. Again, short-term stuff, right? You know, here's the last time, same thing as the S&P, got overbought in the middle of June and came back to the 20-day moving average. So that's more or less what I'm waiting for, trying to do it patiently. And you know, we'll see if we get that. Also, two developments that noted in IWM is that on the weekly chart, and again, we still have a couple days left to go, but watch to see what happens here at the top of value, 195.87. That's a level that I've talked about for a while. And also the diamonds, which have been having real nice performance too. They are at the top of value too, 349.36. So, you know, and this is interesting because I don't think that the diamonds, let's go to the daily chart here for a minute, got a nice breakout. Again, not the best looking candle for the day, nice volume on that, not as overbought as the other indices, a little bit more of a fresh breakout. And you could draw some type of a trend line in here too, to say that that's a breakout. So again, some interesting developments. What I want to talk about for a minute, and here's the spreadsheet again with the performance. The VIX, what did actually end up a little bit. You know, again, don't forget, this is a monthly options expiration. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some type of volatility. The banks and the financials, I talked about them in yesterday's video. I want to talk about a couple setups that I'm looking at. So just to rehash from yesterday, we talked about the inverted head and shoulders, right? This is now playing out pretty decent. Whoops, whoa. Sorry, I didn't mean to zoom in there. But yes, you have an inverted head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So exactly like we talked about in yesterday's video. So nice follow through. And this is one of the best areas of the day. KRE up 3%. I mentioned yesterday KCE. Right, so this is the capital markets ETF. Again, it doesn't trade as much, right? This is just kind of a benchmark for the group, but you know, this looks very healthy to me in terms of the price action and trending versus some of the other you know, banking ETFs that are still below the 200-day moving average, even though they're setting up quite nicely. So this is KCE, and I think like even things like, you know, which we've talked about a couple times in these videos, you know, a Robinhood has had really strong performance, and I think that name is in this ETF and is now trying to break its value area for the year. So sideways, 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 moving out of the range. Morgan Stanley, right? We talked about Morgan Stanley in yesterday's video, I believe. not I was talking about it on another broadcast, but Morgan Stanley, remember going back to yesterday, this was flat in the pre-market after it reported earnings, and they started to mention that Gorman, the CEO over there, mentioned that the worst is most likely behind them. Now, he didn't mention anything about the future and about if the prospects are going to be really strong. But it made me think a lot about when we heard that from the semiconductors about 6 months ago, saying when they reported earnings that they thought that the worst was behind them. So this is a nice break out of here. Again, it's not a perfect, nice little pattern, but here's the breakout of the value area and continuation today, up 1.3%. Goldman reported earnings. Not the best earnings, and I'm not sure what to do with this stock yet, but it is above the value area. One name that I thought was interesting today was BlackRock. Right, this is right at the end of the day. This is a name that already reported earnings. Their earnings were fine, but we did see some nice option positioning, right, which will tell you a little bit that the institutions were interested in the stock today and interested in positioning in it. So here's the option flow. There's 1,200 of the August 770 strike calls for about $12, and that's a sizable trade. Look at the premium on that. That's $1.5 million. So to me, and everybody's different when they analyze, or some people are different when they analyze option flow, but I think this is more notable than like weekly call momentum flow, $1.5 million of premium. And I did go long BlackRock. What you're also looking at here is the weekly chart, and prices starting to kind of resolve higher out of this. Now, there could be something to do with, BlackRock, of course. What does BlackRock do? They are the asset manager for all the ETFs that are out there. Not all the ETFs, but they're one of the biggest asset managers, to make sure I say that correctly. They're one of the biggest ETF asset managers. So they've got the iShares product, right? So now there is some question about whether or not the SEC is going to approve their Bitcoin ETF, but regardless of that, that would be nice, and that could also, be a reason why somebody bought calls. But it could just be that the financials are starting to break higher here. Another name too in the financials, again, if you're looking for something different, because there could be this rotation, this rest maybe that goes on in the tech and in growth, and maybe you start to see some money being allocated to this group. But this is, I believe, in India Bank. This also saw, this has quietly been one of the better performers for a while in financials, and they also saw some call activity today. Here was the calls. There's about 4,000 of these, and again, they're going out to January, right? They're not next week's calls. They're giving it a little bit more time, and the trend is strong here, right? So what do we see on here, right? Consolidation, and a break higher, breakout to new highs, and you have no resistance, right? So no overhead supply, right? Breaking higher on this one, right? A couple other things that I noted that were interesting for the day. We already talked about the Qs and the SPYs, the banks, fins. There was some action in some of the retail names today, which also, the chart does not look bad here, believe it or not. And the XRT, this is an equally weighted ETF, so there's no name that dominates this particular ETF, but nice little check back here and a move higher. And there was some calls that went up in CPRI. I actually took this trade. I don't take very many counter trend trades, but this is a trade that I've traded this name before. I like this name on option activity, and trying to break this 37.28. Also, LULU, which I'm not sure if I saw option. I don't think from my recollection, I didn't see option activity in this one today, but notice the fresh break of the value area. Again, this was a nice test here at the bottom of value, but this is the first candle outside of the range, outside of the value area for the month, and maybe this begins to kind of trend, right? After it moved down, or this was a move down here, and earnings have popped, and it's been basically going sideways. So kind of interesting strength there for the day. All right, guys, that is it for today's recap. Again, also, don't forget, there's going to be a lot of earnings to come, a lot of earnings reports. I think it's a great place to be doing more observing. Maybe catching some trades that might set up if we do pull back a little bit into support. But for now, I'm being patient, considering we've seen such a big move the last 2 weeks. in a lot of areas of the market, you know, a lot of growth software names, semi names as well. You know, I think the semiconductors also, you know, they're kind of consolidating here a little bit. I wouldn't mind as well a check back into here, but there's nothing to say that that has to happen. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.